Okay, welcome to another dose of a Fan's View. This is Fan's View Fridays. Fan's View Fridays is here to educate all of you about the greatness that is Kevin Lillard. We miss Kevin Lillard. Kevin Lillard was a pioneer of cosplay and convention photography and coverage. So I grew up going to conventions in the late 90s, early 2000s. That was my era of going to anime conventions. And if you were going to conventions at that time, you knew of Fansview, you knew of Kevin Lillard. And basically, he would put out all these reports, these photos, as the convention was going on. And Fansview Fridays is here to restore a lot of his reports from the Internet Archive so we can have this all to enjoy together here. So, without further ado, this Friday we are covering Anime Central 1998. My first Anime Central was actually Anime Central 2001, believe it or not. However, we're going to talk about Anime Central 1998, which took place in Rosemont, Illinois. So here it is, a fan's view of Anime Central, Rosemont, Illinois, April 3rd to the 5th, 1998. Chicagoland gets its first anime convention with Kenichi Sonoda, right? Famed for using Chicago as a manga backdrop as the event's featured guest. And I'm just going to pause here. For those of you who do not know who Kenichi Sonoda is, he was the manga creative behind Gunsmith Cats. Gunsmith Cats, if you're not familiar with this Girls with Guns manga / anime, I highly recommend checking it out because he really did his homework when researching Chicago. It looks and feels like Chicago because it is Chicago. It's not like this generic, like, this is a city, we're going to try to pass it off as Chicago. Like, he actually drew in, like, a lot of the landmarks, the city scapes of it as it was in the late 90s. So if you just want to check out something new, check out a classic Girls with Guns anime manga. Highly recommend checking out Gunsmith Cats. All right. So let's see. It looks like we got like a design of the shirt here, and of course we have the man himself, Kenichi Sonoda. All right. So click here for the highlights of the opening day of Anime Central. All right, let's see what happened on opening day. Who was there and what can we find? All right, here's a fast look at the early arrivals at Anime Central. Okay. Anime Central Day 1, early arrivals, April 3rd, 1998. The best sight that the organizers of a new anime convention can see a long line of people waiting to register. 3 years in the making, Anime Central started when the registration line opened on Friday morning. A crowd arrived to purchase membership so they could get in. Nearly all of those in line were people who had not registered in advance. The author registered in December. So you can kind of see the registration blob right there. This girl type Ranma was the first cosplayer spotted by the author's camera. She promised that a friend would bring a more spectacular costume during the weekend of a Genma as a panda around 6 feet tall. This is not a member of the hotel security or an officer of the O'Hare, the airport division of Chicago police, but an Anime Central costumer who made this outfit from an old East German military uniform. It was the right clothing for a cool weekend in Chicagoland. I'm not sure who he's supposed to be, but I think nowadays, like, anything that looks relatively close to a German military uniform would not fly at conventions today. Sometimes you get the feeling that you've seen some people again and again at anime conventions, like these costumers spotted in the Anime Central registration line. It's not deja vu, it's reality. For example, here's Thomas Cardwell in a rare picture showing him without the shampoo dress. He said he didn't want to scare the early arrivals. Cardwell was stationed at the desk that took membership applications for the new NecoCon that takes place in October. strategically located to the dealer's room. Okay, sadly, we have some broken photo links here. Richard Pokemon Kim was on hand working as usual. This time he got to take care of Anime Central's guests of honor. Pocky never gets to be just a fan. Also, I remember when I went to Anime Central, they go crazy about Pocky because I remember a friend of mine, I believe it was their niece, who dressed up like as like a box of Pocky, and everyone went crazy about their costumes, and like people will chant Pocky at masquerade. Like I swear, like the Midwest just kind of like has like this love affair with the Japanese snack known as Pocky. Representing Otakon was Mitch Hagmeyer, also selling memberships for his August convention. Hagmeyer was taking a close look at the early arrivals for Anime Central. And we did cover Otakon in our last edition of Fansview Friday. All right, let's talk more about Kenichi Sonoda, the man behind the main Japanese guest of honor, was among those featured at the event's opening ceremonies. All right, looks like we're covering the opening ceremonies. Hey, check out this old banner here for this old anime website, US Anime. Shitajiki, Lami, Dojinshi, Clearfile, posters, postcards. It looks like we have Naru from Love Hina represented over there. Anime Central Day 1, opening ceremony, April 3rd, 1998. You could almost call Anime Central Sonoda-con. Kenichi Sonoda has used Chicago as the backdrop, almost as a character in his Riding Bean and Gunsmith Cats manga. And the city is also a big party anime for those two series. Like many Americans, Sonoda has developed a deep affection for Chicago. His Anime Central appearance was Sonoda's first visit to his favorite city in the US in 6 years. Hardcore anime fans know Tsukasa Kotobuki as the character designer for Saber Marionette J. Gamers recognize his work on Battle Arena Toshinden. Now American fans get to meet the man behind the characters on Kotobuki's first visit to the USA. Royal Space Force, known to Americans as Wings of Honamis, my apologies if I mispronounce this, was one of the anime series which drew fans deeper into fandom. The film's story about a nation drawn into a war but yearning for space travel showed fans there was more to anime than explosions and mecha, and that a serious story could be told. Fumio Ida was an animation director on Royal Space Force and came with Sonoda to Anime Central. Okay, sadly, we don't have a photo of the next guest here. Inspired by manga, two American artists have made the transition from fan wannabe to solid professional. We've already met Fred Perry at several conventions. Now it's time to meet Robert DeJesus at Anime Central. Fun fact, I was at his wedding in 2001. More on that when we cover Anime Central 2001. Jan Scott Fraser is an American, yet she nearly qualifies as a Japanese guest because of her years of experience in the anime industry. As a member of Studio IG, the production house that has worked on a number of major films, Fraser can tell Americans about the reality of the Japanese industry. Here are the two lead characters in the English dub version of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Amanda Winley was a guest of Animazement, and this is the first picture of Lee on this site without sunglasses. On the left is Spike Spencer, who was Shinji in the English language Ava. Lee played against type in portraying Rei Ayanami. And if you know anything about Amanda Winley, she is just hilarious and totally the opposite of Rei at anime conventions. She's a treat. I mean, I love every panel that I've seen her on. So, yeah, hope I can see you soon again, Amanda. Anime Central got off to a fast start with its opening animation, a tradition established at the Japanese Daikon. The short film was animated by computer and gave some promise of what might be possible in a few years with the growing power of home PCs. Will we have desktop anime? All right, Anime Central Day 1 cosplay preview. A Catholic women's group, oh no, shared the holiday in O'Hare International with Anime Central. The women had their sign in desk not far from the area for the main activities of the anime convention, and one of their meetings was right in the middle of Anime Central's crowd. This author followed a couple of church women as they walked through the hall, amazed at what they saw. It wasn't just a large convention of young people in a hotel, it was the people in costumes that amazed and befuddled the women. Here's a taste of what they saw on the first day of Anime Central. All right, so yeah, this is Kevin's like first bouts of photography. So you can kind of see just the landscape photos here. It's not like the whole like full body shots of cosplayers that we're so used to seeing with typical cosplay photography. And a lot of these are candid, so you can kind of see like he just kind of like just snaps and goes. So you can kind of see here, oh, we got a Nurse Angel Rika. So yeah, sampling of day 1 cosplayers. Okay. Some anime and manga fans get lucky. They have the skill and talent and good fortune to make a living in the art they love. A fortunate few told Anime Central how they made it. Anime Central Day 1 from fans to pros, April 3rd, 1998. Call them the Fortunate Fanboys, a group of people in love with anime and manga who hit the jackpot. They're a part of the anime and manga industry through a combination of their fandom and their talent. They live with the entertainment that mesmerizes millions of people, and they're lucky enough to be paid to provide that entertainment. Robert DeJesus enjoyed drawing in high school, but his life changed when he discovered manga in 1984. The Dr. Slump and Akira series showed him the range of manga's appeal. DeJesus went on to become one of the top artists for the manga flavored Arctic Press. I don't consider myself a pro, DeJesus told at an Anime Central panel. I'm a fan who keeps jumping up in the professional world. I don't want it to become work, but it's nice to get paid. Jan Scott Fraser, assistant director for Student IG in Japan, was attracted to anime when she first saw Macross and Space Adventure Cobra with friends in the early 80s. We looked at these and thought, these are amazing. I got hooked on this, Fraser said. When in Japan in 1987, she sought out work in the anime industry and has made that art her life's work ever since. The turning point for Neil Nadelman left was seeing Royal Space Force, better in English known as Wings of H. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. After studying Japanese for 2 years in college and bugging his Japanese friends to learn the language after that, Needleman made a fan subtitled version of Space Force. Making a living in the anime industry seemed like a better job than clerking at a 7-Eleven. So Needleman used an early anime expo to search for a job. That led to Needleman to Central Park Media, translation work on Project Eiko, and a freelance anime translating career. Around the same time, Toshifumi Yoshida was working on the first version of the now defunct glossy fanzine Animag. The magazine connections helped Yoshida translating work on the first 3x3 Eyes manga. Then, after Animag folded, Yoshida was approached by Viz Communications to help develop An America magazine to produce Viz video product. For hopeful artists, DeJesus suggests that they pick a company and take a look at what they're doing. They're not interested in what you can do. They're interested in what you can do with their characters. Send the company a model sheet of their characters on an 8.5 by 11 copies of your originals, DeJesus said, along with a 3-page example of an original story. Fraser is one of the few Americans who survive and thrive in the high-pressure grind of anime production. She warned that the fantasy of an American anime fans working in Japan might not live up to the reality of being a stranger in a strange land. Imagine if a person from Europe who only spoke Spanish or French wanted to become an actor in the US. Same deal, said Fraser. It's possible, but there are obstacles, culture, and language. Model builders may be the hardest working people in anime fandom. Here's a look at the tips they use to create their three-dimensional dreams. This is something I miss seeing at anime conventions, and the last time I ever saw like a model like building type of display was Super Dimension Con last year, and this is a very small boomer centric Macross event. I mean, you have a few Gen Zers just kind of scattered around, but I kind of felt a little bit out of place there, not gonna lie. Like as an elder millennial, like, what's going on? Anime Central Day 1 model building panel, April 3rd, 1998. This author has not visited the world of anime model building since Anime Week Atlanta 3. Anime Central held a model panel hosted by builder Kevin O'Connell, and the author was on hand to hear the tips on how to assemble those intricate, detailed kits. O'Connell's panel concentrated on figure kits, among the hardest to make because of their smooth surfaces show small flaws. Get it right and you have a keepsake such as this and Lisa Hayes' Misa Hayase figure. Master model builders for a collection of tricks as large as the toolkits they carry. For example, the paint used to color this model's uniform was thin with an automotive windshield wiper fluid, resulting in the lifelike blue. The skin tone was generated with a commercial Caucasian flesh tone paint applied with an airbrush, not with a fiber brush. These models, in various states of completion, show one of the keys of successful model building according to O'Connell. Paint light colors first, then move to darker colors. Acrylic paint is preferred because oil-based paint takes forever to dry. The modeled appearance on this 1980s model from General Products shows where putty was applied to fulfill holes and small imperfections. Putty also serves to fill the seams between large parts when the models are assembled, O'Connell said. To fill the gaps, O'Connell uses Dr. Microtools model putty. After putty has hardened, it's time for the hours of sanding, usually going from coarse to a fine-grained sandpaper. To get the model surface smooth enough for the primer, spray primer from an auto parts store usually gets the job done, he said. Even the best model builder can't always apply different colors in close proximity on a detailed model without the paint spreading into unwanted areas. To handle that problem, builders mask out portions of their models. Often they handle that in the same way a homeowner would mask a wall painting job by placing tape over the area of the model where they want to stay free of the new paint. In this example, mold builder liquid latex is applied over the portions of the model, then removed when the coat of paint has dried. I just love how like detailed and just how intricate like Kevin goes into like old school like Bishoujo like model making here. Because nowadays at Amicons, when we think about model building, our brains go more to Gunpla than like building like garage kits or Bishoujo type figures. But anywho, this is not a drastically anorexic caddy from Galforce, but a model head that has been pinned with a rod in the middle of the part to give it support for assembly. O'Connell recommends pinning all models to ensure they're securely assembled. Of course, this could happen. One of the model builders bringing this example to Anime Central dropped it on Friday. Oh no! Everything survived except the unpinned head, which lays on the table next to the rest of the painted and assembled figure. Here's another look at the people who enjoyed the opening day of Anime Central by dressing up in costume. Alright, more Friday cosplayers we have here. If you want to know how much anime fans in a region care about their hobby, count how many wear costumes onto the first day of a 3-day anime convention. We had no trouble finding this group of cosplayers on Friday evening at Anime Central. Okay, we got Captain Global from Macross. We got Standard Sailor Moon. Looks like she's holding a Luna. And just remember, a lot of times, this is the late 90s, so we kind of had to improvise with what we had to create anime costumes. Remember, we didn't really have like eBay stores or like AliExpress or Uwo or Doki Doki Cosplay to get pre-made costumes from. We had to be creative in terms of making like anime, bringing our favorite anime characters to life. Actually, this is not a cosplayer, despite the Chinese dress. It's Nico of the Anime Web Turnpike page, who traveled 18 hours from Hong Kong to see Anime Central, her first anime convention ever. She was amazed by the sights of Americans in love with anime and manga. Nico has been kind in honoring this website on Turnpike and bringing it to the attention of fans worldwide. I didn't know she was a part of Anime Web Turnpike. Alright, let's go to day 2. Alright, look here to find how Anime Central's second day went. Anime Central Day 2, April 4th, 1998. Alright, Anime Central's strong start was shown by an impressive collection of cosplayers. We give you a look at some of the costumers at this link. Alright, Anime Central Day 2, Saturday Cosplayers, April 4th, 1998. The director of Anime Central Costume Contest shuffled through the thick stack of papers on his table. He couldn't believe that he had 37 entries for the inaugural Anime Central cosplay. We believed it and include here the first group of pictures of the enthusiastic costumers. Okay, looks like we have someone from Macross. I'm assuming that is Max. Then we have Miyako Yuki. I was just watching a couple of episodes of Fushigi Yugi right before the stream, and I still want to kick Tsuboshi where the sun don't shine. Oh, looks like we have that giant Genma. Oh my god, Panda! I've also been rewatching Ranma because I'm old school. I like watching old anime. Don't blame me. The classics are classics for a reason. We have Fu from Magic Knight Rayearth. We got Sailor Moon again. I want to assume that's Belle Dandy, but please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. More folks here. I'm assuming it's that shampoo based on the Chinese dress and based on the hairstyle choices. We also got another Ranma right there. And again, I always like seeing folks in the background because it kind of shows you like the types of fans, what they were wearing, and just kind of like almost like a time capsule of the era. So anytime like I'm at a convention and I'm taking photos of cosplayers, I like to capture the vibe in the background. Okay, we have Sailor Venus, we have Sailor Saturn. And it appears like a lot of these are candid. I want to say this is kind of like a visual K kind of vibe right here. And then we have Sailor Moon. And we place another group of costume pictures at this link. Okay, looks like we have some folks in the chat. All right, we're moving on to Saturday cosplayers here and here. Okay, so many pictures they can't fit on one page. Well, they could fit on one page, but that would take too long to load. So we split images of the Saturday costumers at Anime Central on to a pair of pages, of which this is the second. Okay. Now looks like we have a couple of cosplayers here. I want to say that's Washu from Tenchi Muyo. It's hard to tell which ones. I want to say that's Hikaru from Magic Knight Rares, but then again, remember this is the late '90s, so we kind of had to like work with what we have in cosplay photography. Um, this is the late '90s, so cosplay photography hasn't really reached to like what it is right now. Like, and I admit these aren't like the most flattering photos. Like we got Yuffie from Final Fantasy, we got Belle Dandy. I'm assuming that's Shampoo. Alright. Okay, then it was time for something never seen in Chicagoland, an anime costume contest. Alright, Anime Central Day 2, Costume Contest, April 4th, 1998. Not since the days of yore when Dick the Bruiser wrestled Baron von Rascal in the International Amphitheater had seen anything like the costume contest at the inaugural Anime Central. Weeks of hard work on costumes, carefully detailed to look like the ones on screen in print, paid off for a few shining Saturday night moments. Okay, I wish I could have had some context on here, but I'm sure, I know, don't quote me on this, but American Cosplay Paradise YouTube might have videos of the skits. I'm not sure for Anime Central, but I do know they have them for Anime Expo. Let's kind of see here what was at the cosplay contest. So we got some Sailor Moon cosplayers there. We got Umi from Magic Knight Rayearth, Diamond, Ultraman. Look, Ultraman's like in a suit type thing. We have Nurse Angel Marika. She looks so cute. We have Ryoga from Ranma. Some more folks here. I believe that's Washi from Tenchi. We got Genma and Ranma over here. Yeah, I love Ranma. It's like one of my favorite anime series. We got Cammy from Street Fighter. We got Magic Knight Rayearth. Yeah, it's very interesting to seeing like costume contest entries like from back in the day, because like yeah, again, this is kind of had to what we had to work with back then, and just seeing like the history of like where we started and where we are now. It's very fascinating to me. All right, despite the intensity of the show, the judges needed a little time to decide on the best work of the night. Okay, so we have the award winners here. Best in show, looks like I went to this Vampire Hunter D cosplayer. Best presentation went to the 6-foot Genma cosplayer here. Oh my god, I love this panda. It's so adorable. Okay, Richard Pokemon Kim's award. It was also very interesting, like back in the day during costume contests, guests would also grant awards. And sometimes you'd always also get some industry awards too. So like ADV or Pioneer would also hand out awards if you were cosplaying from any of the properties that they licensed. Robert D. Jesus award looks like it went to that Cammy. I'm not sure what she's from. Maria Ryder's award. I almost thought that said Mask Writer's Award. I'm like, wait, she's supposed to be from Mask Writer? Jan Scott Fraser's award went to Nurse Angel Marika here. Marika is one of those shoujo animes that just need a lot more love. It's a really good shoujo anime series, guys. Amanda Winley's award went to the Porco Rosso. Special surprise birthday for Enrique County. Looks like they're about to have some fun. All right, let's see the next one. He likes guns and wants to shoot up a car, just like in the American movies. He likes Chicago because it resembles Tokyo. You'll have to look into what Kenichi Sonoda had to say. Okay, Anime Central Day 2, Kenichi Sonoda, April 4th, 1998. If you're wondering why Riding Bean and Gunsmith Cats manga created by Kenichi Sonoda are based in Chicago, the credit should go to the late John Belushi and his star turn in the Blues Brothers. Sonoda told an Anime Central panel on Saturday that his enjoyment that American movie led him to feature Chicago as a character in his street action manga. I was disappointed that everything was based in Los Angeles and New York, said Sonoda. It was my conscious effort to assert the character of Chicago, he said to cheers and applause from the audience. Chicago has elevated trains, the loop. You'll have all sorts of three-dimensional intersections. It's a visual impression not unlike Tokyo. Tokyo, a cramped city with more people than all of Illinois, looks like Chicago? Sonoda said he compares each city's elevated trains and notes that the L in Chicago is much like the one Tokyo train line that just happens to pass through the best places in Japan to buy anime and manga material. Sonoda has been to Chicago only twice, and yet he draws the city as if he was raised on Lake Michigan. That, he said, is due to the extensive research. Sonoda's personal library includes several books of Chicago photographs. He puts as much time into his research of the firearms used in the manga, subscribing to a Japanese firearms magazine so he can accurately draw the guns used by Raleigh Vincent and Bean Bandit. Don't expect more Gunsmith Cats adventures soon, by the way. Sonoda says he's currently working on a science fiction manga. Personal handguns are heavily restricted in Japan, so Sonoda usually gets to a firing range only on his American visits. But not on this trip to Anime Central, he said. I shot everything up to a .44 Magnum, but I never shot a .50 caliber Desert Eagle yet, Sonoda said. I want to shoot up a car to pieces like Swiss cheese. Ever since I saw the movie The Gauntlet, I've wanted to do that. There we go, Sonoda. Fumio Ida had a successful animation production career, but he decided to branch into the world of manga, learn his reasons for changing his life. Anime Central Day 2, Fumio Ida, April 4th, 1998. Fumio Ida has had a successful anime career. He worked on Royal Space Force, Roujinzi, Yanamon, and a host of top games. Yet Ida wanted to strike out on his own. I wanted to be fully able to express my own thoughts instead of doing it was part of the team. Ida said at Anime Central, animation is teamwork, but manga is drawing a solitary venture with the artist usually writing his own scripts. Ida has now branched out into manga work. With volumes such as Marine Color, a mermaid story that Ida wants to use in bridging the world of between humans and fish. When I put out a comic, I see the characters as my family, he said. To reach his goal, Ida had to create a new persona, that of the illustrator known only as Suizen, a pseudonym that he used when he was drawing magazine illustrations on the side for his animation work. I couldn't put out anything under my own name since I was already employed, Ida explained. The illustrations seemed to catch the attention of the readers. Working as an illustrator was the catalyst that led to my manga work. Now, if Ida can openly call himself Suizen with a book and CD-ROM of his illustrations on the Japanese market, Suizen is a contraction of a Japanese phrase meaning best of the best, although Ida said, I'm not really the best, I'm just getting by. While Ida enjoys his manga work, he keeps his hand in animation and game production to make ends meet, since manga paychecks don't pay the bills. Part of the work included character designs for the cartoon series known as Thundercats in the US, work that Ida enjoyed. He has even worked for the Japanese arm of the Walt Disney Company, which handles some of the animation for American release. And Ida admires American comics, saying they have a lot of power in them, the contrast between light and dark. I want to incorporate that in my comics. Ida cuts across critical grain in Japan when it comes to highly successful Mononoke Hime movie, the biggest motion picture hit in Japan since last year. For the masses, it was an easy to understand story, which probably why it's still running in Japan, he said. Ida feels that the Miyazaki film is a little more than a remake of an earlier Nazca film, but also notes that people in the anime industry are going to be more critical of those films than the ticket buying public. Hang on just 1 second. I'm going to be right back for a quick water break. Okay, we are back. All right, like publishing and engineering design, the future of anime may lie in desktop within the desktop personal computer. Two animation producers showed a hint of that future at Anime Central. Anime Central Day 2 Desktop Animation, April 4th, 1998. The personal computer has brought us desktop publishing through the programs such as Aldous PageMaker and desktop engineering design through software like AutoCAD. Will these ever be desktop anime? The answer is yes, and two animators gave Anime Central a glimpse of that future through their opening animation shown at the convention. It was a 1-minute computer-generated short featuring the convention's mascots, made entirely on an ordinary PC, and created by animator Samuel Kreider, who used a standard premium personal computer to create the short. Bohus Blahut, owner of the Vantage Point, handled the post-production work. Both men once attended Columbia College and developed their art skills in school and in the real world of visual production work. Kreider created the opening animation using a piece of commercial PC software called Lightwave. He used the software's sculpting tool to create the forms of the characters and the props, such as the space station. As with still animation, where key animators hand off work to in-betweeners who make the characters move, Kreider set the main positions of characters and directed Lightwave to finish the work. He also directed the program to give the animation a flat, cell-like look instead of the fully formed work that some animators wanted. I'm not the best draftsman in the world, and I can form things better than draw them, Kreider said. That's why I go into computer animation. Lightwave makes desktop anime a real possibility despite its steep price. More than $1,000 retail, yikes, and heavy disk space requirements. The Anime Central opening animation took up 500 megabytes for 50 seconds. And remember, this is like back in the day when downloading that much could take you like forever. Whereas these days, like 500 megabytes, that's nothing. However, Kreider feels that the program's potential will draw in adventuresome anime fans to try a less expensive version. Eventually, Lightwave animations could be as common as stapled fanzines of websites, Kreider feels. Blahut sees a sparkling future for desktop animation once people learn its possibilities as they learn about the net, the web, and digital publishing. This is the period when people are discovering that this is possible. Eventually, you'll have a lot of This, and it'll be cool, he said. As net bandwidth increases, Blahut expects people to share lightwave animation in the same way they trade JPEG stills and MIDI music files. Oh wow, MIDI music files. That really takes me back in the day when like people would like force you to like listen to a MIDI on your GeoCities website. Like you're browsing the internet like early in the morning, and all of a sudden like this MIDI will just start blaring as you're trying to browse your like a website, and you'd be forced to listen to it. And I'm like, that's why I have a bias against like MySpace pages that kind of like have like that made you forced to listen to a song. Like, guys, I'm trying to browse here. No one wants to hear your music. Sorry. For the time being, most connected fans go online to swap opinions and stories. Anime Central panels looked at the electronic fandom in the net age. Wow, I love this late 90s lingo here. Just kind of thinking about like the super information highway known as the internet. Two devices made modern anime fandom possible in the US. One device was a home video cassette recorder, which let fans view anime series otherwise unavailable outside Japan. The other device, more of a system, was a modem-equipped personal computer and the networks that linked those computers. It started with online services such as CompuServe and The Source, expanded to personal bulletin board systems, and evolved into the internet. Engineer Enrique Conti, a long figure on rec.arts.anime Usenet hierarchy, said Anime Central is an example how net drives fandom. The entire concept started on rec.arts anime because one of the people in Chicago, after he went to Anime Expo, said, "Why don't we have one of these in Chicago?" The rise of Usenet groups was followed by a growth of the World Wide Web, which has come from an engineer's curiosity to a mainstream phenomenon in 5 years. Jay Harvey created one of the top fan websites in the anime web Turnpike, a clearinghouse for anime websites that has its own domain and mirror sites on 2 continents. I did not know that. Another top site is X Online Magazine, a 10 times yearly insider look of anime and manga industry and fandom. Site designer Tom Larson is proud of balancing the page's deep content with short load times, accomplished by using relatively small graphics. Panel members criticize graphics-heavy sites that take too long to load. Could they have been thinking about the 20 picture pages on this site? So if you kind of notice here on Kevin Lillard's site why there's like very few pictures by today's standards on his website is because back in the day, good web design, best practice was to like just keep your images small. Don't force your person looking at the website to just be sitting there waiting for your image to load, because remember, we're dealing with like modems that can only take so much, and things like high-speed internet wasn't really widely available till like the mid to late 2000s. Like it was available in the early 2000s because I know my family had it, but we were privileged enough to afford cable high-speed internet back in the day. Jean Hedge crosses the boundaries of 3 forms of anime fandom. She serves as a PSYOPs of the CompuServe anime forum, one of the last bastions of character-based online fandom that survives unchanged from its early 80s roots. She also has her own website and writes fan fiction, another issue discussed at Anime Central. Online distribution of fan fiction, such as Hedge's stories based on Bubblegum Crisis universe, has given new life to a specialized form of fan appreciation. I think fan fiction allows the author to express an idea, said Richard Lawson, known for his Ranma one-half stories. We have a greater pool of talent. I think the purpose of writing fan fiction hasn't changed, but its exposure has. Why create stories based on anime characters when so many are available from artists who originated from those characters? Some fanfic authors do it because they think they can do a better job, others for titillation, especially with the lemon stories. But I'll agree that fan fiction writing for them is fun. We have fanfics that get better as fans try to outdo each other, said Ryan Matthews, one of the first people to post fanfic on Rec Arts Anime. Each generation of fanfic is inspired by the previous generation. Now, most Usenet fanfic ends up in a moderated news group. Matthew advises budding authors whose submissions aren't posted to try again. In the case of the newsfeed burped, or to check with the fanfic FAQ to make sure they didn't miss a step in the submission process. Wow, it's very interesting to also hear about like the origins of where to find fan fiction, because I remember the way I got my fanfic fix for Sailor Moon. They would post like chapters of like particular Sailor Moon fan fiction on alt fans to Sailor Moon, and that was like the online hub for Sailor Moon fans. But keep in mind, a lot of the Sailor Moon fans on alt.fans.sailor Moon, they weren't like 15, 14-year-olds like me at the time. These were like older Gen Xers and early boomers, or late boomers, I should say. Okay, let's go into the last day of Anime Central. And what about the third day of Anime Central? All right, so this is just going to be a blob of Kevin Lillard's notes here. And let's go through it all together. What happened to the third day of Anime Central reports on this site? The real world got in the way, unfortunately. With one coworker out after elective surgery, this author had to fill in on Sunday. Rather than watching Anime Central's final panels and closing ceremony, the author sat behind a desk 190 miles away. Ironically, the author had left a Holiday Inn O'Hare International around the same time the Japanese guest of honor departed. They also needed to leave early to maintain a heavy work schedule, and their final appearance at Anime Central was at the end of the costume contest. Speaking for the group, Kenichi Sonoda thanked the convention organizers and the fans for their great experience. That costume contest produced one of the most memorable moments of the 4 anime conventions attended by this author. The popular panda gets down. So I guess this was like a Ranma skit where like the panda dances. Okay, I probably have to look up this skit because I just love this Genma here. He's amazing. They're amazing. The costume contest, yeah, blah blah blah. The first cosplayer spotted by this author at Anime Central on Friday was a woman dressed as girl-type Ranma. She showed me a picture of the second person in the act, a Genma panda. The panda suit, made exactly to proportions of Rumiko Takahashi's original drawings, was 6 feet tall. The man and the panda suit arrived on Saturday and were immediately overwhelmed by Anime Central fans. They couldn't move without being surrounded by camera-toting admirers, amazed that someone would turn a Takahashi panda, which isn't really shaped like a panda, into a costume. However, no one could predict that the sensation was waiting at the Saturday night costume contest. At first, the Ranma and Panda looked like a conventional presentation, with the two doing a short martial arts act. Then all hell broke loose. The panda waddled to the center of the stage, and the PA system blasted "I'm Too Sexy" into the room. The crowd went wild and leapt to their feet as the panda gyrated to the throbbing music. The audience stood, cheered, and clapped to the tune as the panda moved to the beats. In the middle of the act, voice actor Amanda Wynn Lee, who was one of the judges, dropped all pretenses of objectivity. Lee jumped from her table, waved a dollar bill in the air, ran into the stage, and tucked the dollar into the panda costume, strip club style. That whipped the cosplay crowd into a wilder frenzy. The cosplay contestants had been warned that they would be strictly limited to 2 minutes for their stage presentation, but no one dared to stop this panda. He shimmied and squirmed for this full length of "I'm Too Sexy," and the crowd didn't want him to leave the stage. When the song ended, the audience got an encore when the Ranma and Panda act received Best Presentation Award. The Panda act set the stage for the Saturday night room parties, which droned well into the morning. Anime Central must have had the time of its life at those parties. When the author left the hotel at 7 on Sunday morning, things were very quiet. Only 3 convention fans were spotted in the lobby, and they weren't moving very well. There were no doubts in the author's mind that Anime Central was a complete success. showing that the Midwest was a perfect place for a major anime convention. The 1999 edition of the convention should be bigger and better show that could fill the entire hotel. One final thought. This author was a child when Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis on April 4th, 1968. I remember seeing the television reports on the shooting and was taken by my parents to a church service where the TV set in the sanctuary showed King's funeral in Atlanta. I never dreamed that on the 30th anniversary of King's death, I would be at an anime convention. At first, it seems like an odd way to mark the anniversary, but considering the mix of races and nationalities at Anime Central, people of all colors planned and ran and attended the convention. A few generations ago, many of those people were at war, but they were at peace over the weekend, joined by anime, an art form that is a special blend of American and Japanese culture. Look closely at Anime Central, and you get a positive feeling. And that wraps it up for our special edition of Anime Central 1998. We really appreciate having you here tonight to take a look back at Anime Central in Rosemont. And yes, Anime Central will be back. We'll return to Rosemont in 2002 at the Hyatt. I was there for Anime Central 2002, but we're definitely going to talk about more on that when we get to 2002. Thank you so much for joining us tonight as we discussed Anime Central. This was a shorter Fansview Friday. We probably won't be back online until August 2nd. I have some couple things to do. I have some foraging missions that I need to take care of, and I have a special appearance at San Diego Comic-Con in the next 2 weeks. I'm very hyped about that too. So Fansview Friday will be put on pause till August 2nd. August 2nd, we're going to have a special guest. We're going to have one of the former chairs of SakuraCon to talk about SakuraCon 2000. It's very rare that we get a special guest from back in the day to join us, but I'm very excited to have this guest with us to talk about SakuraCon 2000. And again, if you like what we do, donate to our Ko-Fi. That helps us keep running the show. It helps us keep supporting artists who make these icons, who make these emojis, who make these VTube models, and so forth. And these also help us keep going to cons and keep covering cons. So if you like what you see, highly recommend donating to our Ko-Fi. We would very much appreciate it for the support. And I'm also writing a book called the Fangirl Diaries. This book, it's currently in publication, and I'm looking forward to when it gets out. Keep checking back here, and I'll have more updates on our actual release date for the Fangirl Diaries, because I'm looking forward to when it comes out, because if you like this piece of history of anime fandom, this is going to be the book for you. It was a labor of love to write this book, to recall, to go back to my old diaries, to go back to my old blog posts, to talk about what was it like for a 14-year-old to be caught up in all of this. Because right now, we're looking a lot of perspectives of older Gen Xer, boomer anime fans have published their works, but what was it like being a teenager during this time period, finding a friendship, finding community, finding identity within this time period? So that book is going to be for you. And with that said, we wish you good night. Thank you for joining us on this stream. And we wish you good night. Thank you so much for the report. And again, rest in peace, Kevin. This is for you.